There's been 2 straight weeks of the Federal Reserve Bank purchasing U.S. Treasuries. So does that mean quantitative easing has begun again? I think so. I want to share an article with you today. So I thought I would take a minute to share this article here. It's a day or two old, but yet never too late. Just because, once again, I haven't heard it from Fox News or CNBC about the Federal Reserve getting back into the easing business or the stimulating the economy business. But what I have heard from several commentators, as well as some people I've interviewed recently, about there being issues in the bond market because just a negative yield aspect where we hear about the 2 year, the 10 year, the 1 year, all the Treasury issuance and debt issuance here, and the problems they're having because once again, the yields decreasing, and that means no one's really interested in purchasing those things because of this whole yield inversion fiasco that's underway. So what does that mean? Who's purchasing these things? Well, apparently the open market is responding with no interest really. So that means that someone has to be buying these things, and it looks like the Federal Reserve is back in the business of stimulating the economy by purchasing debt directly. And so I want to share the article with you, as you guys can see on the screen here. It has a lot of visual aids in it, so I'm going to link it below for you to be able to get a better sense of what's going on for yourself. But I've mentioned this before. I thought I would take a minute to actually share the article because here we have 2 weeks in a row. And so for this visual aid here, you can see that basically $8 billion a week ago, and then this past week there's been $6 billion that has been purchased by the Fed. And so to give you an idea of how significant this is, give you a little summary here. It says after 250 weeks without a purchase of treasuries since October 2014, for the second week in a row, the Federal Reserve has bought treasuries. It says the $14 billion in purchasing is a stark contrast to the zero purchases and the selling during quantitative tightening. So once again, to shine more light on this visual aid here, as you can see, just a lot of things that can be pulled out here. But if you look to the far left, you see that the whole winding down of easing that took place in October of 2014 where it came to somewhat of a halt from what we were told. There's been a dead period. And so the middle of this little visual aid here has been dead. No significant purchases that have shown up on the balance sheet. And yet we see, as of the end of 2017, quantitative tightening along with the interest rate increasing have been taking place. And we see that it's been steadily racking up until recently, where basically the Federal Reserve has come to the conclusion that the economy is slowing down. Jerome Powell has stated several times that his primary concern is to keep this economic expansion going. So what does that mean? In order to keep the economic expansion going, it looks like they're going to have to get back to their old tricks, which is to purchase treasuries, and basically which all that has done is allowed more money to flow into the equities market. So this other visual aid I want to share with you here has to do with the whole Wilshire 5000. And so a lot of commentator and economists have referenced this before about just using this as a measurement for the global equities market. And if you look at this very graph here, it gives you an idea as to what the stimulus has done throughout the last decade plus. And so to the middle left, we have the quantitative easing 1, 2, then we got the third little blimp, which is quantitative 3. And then we see how the Wilshire has also increased because once again, all that funny money has gone into equities and corporate buybacks and all those fraudulent activity that has basically harmed middle class and everybody else. But yet, as of the last year or two, equity markets hasn't been doing too well. And it looks like quantitative tightening has played a part of that because the Federal Reserve has been pulling liquidity out of the markets by purchasing all that, bringing all those dollars back to roost or canceling out all those treasuries. But here we are, towards the end of summer, and they're back to purchasing that stuff. So what does that mean? That means that, once again, I believe it's a sign that the world is coming to the conclusion that monetary policy has distorted reality to where there will be no more normal investing the way that it has been done before. And so the U.S., of course, is, as they say, the best, the cleanest out of a dirty basket of shirts, however it goes. And so there will be interest in holding Federal Reserve notes in the meantime because all the other currencies are having problems. But when it comes to our government and the fiscal lack of responsibility that the administration has shown, as well as just politicians in general, to continue to promise things and to continue to make due on their bills that they've already promised. They're going to be issuing a lot more debt, especially as they look for ways to either cut taxes or to, issue some type of promises to keep this economy going. The deficits will continue to increase, and who's going to be purchasing that stuff? It won't be, investors primarily on the open market doing it the way they have done in the past. And so it will eventually be the Federal Reserve solely in the market buying this debt and then eventually just monetizing it directly, which will be a clear sign that the economy is dead officially, because once the Federal Reserve, who issues credit, becomes the lender, the borrower, and all that, the only option for the United States government, that's a good sign that Uncle Sam is flatline and the Fed basically runs the show officially. And so what does that mean? That means that the currency will become problematic down the line. But yet, as I mentioned earlier today, because there are so many issues around this planet here, dollars will continue to increase in value, or the Dixie rather will continue to go up as more people look to hold dollars, but yet that has a lifeline to it as well. So between now and that time, who knows? But at the end of the day, the Fed is back in the stimulating game. Now it's a matter of when will they inform the public? And when the public knows, then what will they do? As always, probably will do nothing. But along the way, as all this stuff happening, you see silver and gold is going up and doing their thing as a reflection of all this fraudulent activity that's happening in the market. So once again, thought I would just shine some light on this situation that quantitative easing has began. And now it's not called quantitative easing 4, but they're going to throw out some type of fancy name when it becomes official. Because as of right now, this graph here, it was put together by this particular blog here. So it's just a matter of, whenever the mainstream news decide to give us the same information, will they give it the same positive spin that I'm sure the Fed wants to paint it as? So other than that, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think this is heading? What will the possible names be for the next round of easing or stimulating? Will they keep the quantitative easing name or give it some type of patriotic name that it plays into supporting the economy and growth and all those things they want to have us believe? But while they're doing all that, of course, in my opinion, you know what to do. Get your weight up. And then I was watching Gregory Mannarino earlier, and he was talking about the need for people to hold things, actual, preferably tangible things in the form of, gold, silver, land, art, the things that the one percenters have already done. They're already out of the market. They're short in the market. They're betting against the market. As you know, Warren Buffett, was holding on to, I think, $100+ billion in cash. So Warren Buffett's waiting for the sale to begin as far as everything going belly ups. And I'd imagine Warren Buffett's probably going to try to purchase an entire city or something like that with all the cash he's sitting on while it's still able to be to be utilized. So if that being the case, enough ranting. As always, if you enjoy this back and forth, make sure you share this information, because once again, you won't hear right now, and especially quantitative easing has begun already. Why? Because the Fed is buying debt. That's just a simple, plain and simple. And then, so share this information. If you're new to the channel, definitely give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit the notification bell, because as always, information is important. But YouTube, they're doing what they're doing. That's okay. I'm not mad at them. They have a business to run. And unfortunately, I have a job to do as well as far as educating you guys. So, that being the case, see you guys later. Peace.